This year, the Senedd is changing. From 1999 until 2021, it elected 60 members, 40 from first-past-the-post constituencies and 20 top-ups from regional lists. Back in 2021, I explained this system, but now it's all changed. In 2023, Wales was reduced from 40 to 32 Westminster constituencies, and these new constituencies form the basis for the new electoral system. After months of work and public consultation, the Democracy and Boundaries Commission for Wales came up with pairings of these constituencies. They had to alter them a couple of times, but what we have shown on the screen now is what they ended up being. Wales is now divided into 16 constituencies, each electing 6 members of the Senedd from closed lists. The election will now run on a closed list proportional representation system known as the D'Hondt method. This is how it works. When you go into the polling station, you'll be presented with a ballot paper, one ballot paper this time, which will have a list of parties and independent candidates printed on it. Every candidate nominated will be listed in the order in which they are to be elected. Any list can contain between 1 and 8 candidates. As this is a closed list system, voters won't have any influence whatsoever on the order of these lists, only which list they choose. You'll be asked to put 1 X in the box of the party of your choice. Now my ballot's in the box, I'll explain to you how it works, how it's counted, and how the seats are allocated.
Excuse me, you know you're supposed to film in a polling station.
For this example, I've come up with some plausible numbers based on recent polling. Don't take the numbers themselves too seriously, just follow for the methodology. To keep things simple, I've only included the 6 main parties in this example. After the votes are counted, the result falls like this. Plaid Cymru top the poll with 22,010 votes. Reform UK are in second with 18,885, Labour in third with 11,873, the Conservatives in fourth on 7,915, the Greens in fifth with 4,791, and finally the Liberal Democrats with 3,958. As the top-ranked party, Plaid Cymru are awarded the first of the 6 seats, and the candidate ranked number 1 on their list is elected to the Senedd. Now, since Plaid Cymru have been awarded a seat, their vote total is divided by the number of seats they've won so far, plus 1, so Plaid Cymru's vote is now halved. This leaves Reform UK on top, and they are awarded the second seat, who will be the number 1 candidate on their list, and that person is now elected to the Senedd. Reform UK's vote is now divided by 2 since they were awarded that seat, which leaves Labour on top, and Labour awarded the constituency's third seat, and the person who's number 1 on their seat is now elected. We continue, we now divide Labour's vote by 2, and that leaves Plaid Cymru back on top, and they're awarded the constituency's 4th seat, and that person who's number 2 on their list is now elected to the Senedd. With Plaid Cymru now awarded 2 seats, we divide their number of votes by 3, 1 plus the number of seats they've been awarded, and this leaves Reform UK back on top. So they're awarded the constituency's 5th seat, and the second person on their list is now elected. Carrying on, we now divide Reform UK's total number of votes by 3, which leaves the Conservatives on top, and they're awarded the 6th and final seat in the constituency. So in the end, based on the votes we've cast in this election, we have 2 Plaid Cymru, 2 Reform UK, 1 Labour and 1 Conservative elected in this constituency. You might have noticed that as the rounds go by, the margins between the parties get narrower and narrower and narrower. This means the last couple of seats, the 5th or 6th, could be decided by tiny numbers of votes. The threshold can vary slightly depending on how the votes fall, but in general, you need between about 10 and 12% to be guaranteed a seat in a constituency, though sometimes 12% might not be enough, and in rare cases 10% could be enough. It all depends on how the votes fall. But ideally, in the end, you'll end up with a number of seats being allocated that's roughly proportional, though not exactly, to how many votes were cast for each party. The new electoral system makes it very difficult, though not quite impossible, for a party to win a majority of the seats without winning a huge majority of the votes. I'll save my opinions on this for some blog post or something, but that is, as factually as possible, how it works.
Right, I'm sorry, but you really can't film inside a polling station.
Okay. I've just been kicked out of the polling station, but before I go, I will let you know some answers to some frequently asked questions about the new system. One of the main questions people ask is what happens when an elected representative dies or resigns in office. The truth is that if the candidate who has been elected is independent, that seat remains vacant permanently. until the next Senedd election, which will be in 2030. Likewise, if that person is the final person on the list, so say for example the fourth person on the list is the last person and they resign from office, that seat remains vacant permanently. If there's people left on the list, then that list continues. So the person who's number 3, for example, if the second person resigns, if they're still in the party, are willing to be a Senedd member and are not otherwise disqualified from office, the seat's offered to them first. And otherwise it just gets passed down the list. And if they can't find anyone, it remains vacant. Another one is around defections. Under the law as it stands for 2026, people who are elected to the Senedd will be able to change parties, to leave parties, and independents will be able to join parties at will. There was talk of introducing a system where a member could become independent but not join another party, but that hasn't materialised. There's no automatic disqualification for joining a different party than one you were elected for. And yeah, as far as I'm aware, there's no law governing any of that, despite what they proposed. So unless that person leaves the Senedd, in which case the normal vacancy rules apply, they can just move around at will. And the final question is whether Senedd members can be recalled. And the answer at this point is yes. A new law was brought into force in March just gone, where if a Senedd member is given a prison sentence, be it a suspended one or a custodial one, or if the Senedd Commission recommends it, a member can be put to a removal poll. So it's within their constituency, an election is held, and it's very simple. You're asked, should the member stay or should the member go? And if the constituents choose that the member should go, the normal vacancy rules apply. So if they're a party member and there's someone next on the list, it goes to that person. If there's no one else or if they're independent, the seat remains vacated permanently. And obviously if the constituents vote that that person should remain a Senedd member, that's what happens. Although politically it wouldn't be very easy for them. So that's how the new Senedd electoral system works. I hope I managed to address all your questions, but if not, you're more than welcome to tweet them at me or comment them under the YouTube video or whatever. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and make sure you register to vote by the 20th of April, and polling day is on the 7th of May. Let's go. Oh yeah, and don't film in a polling station, you'll get kicked out.